In today's video, I'll be going over the new Dockyard ship, the Tier 9 German destroyer, the ZH-1. I'll be covering how to get the ship, its general playstyle, what its strengths and weaknesses, and my overall opinion on if the ship is worth getting or not. So, let's get started. You'll be able to get the ZH-1 in the Dockyard starting in patch 15.3, which will be available on April 7th for NA and April 8th for EU and Asia. There will be a total of 20 shipbuilding phases, with 18 that you can get for free from combat missions. They'll be available until the end of the third week of the 15.4 update. You'll have to buy 2 phases to get this ship, with the starter bundle for costing 3,200 doubloons, and the second starter bundle, which is for 6 phases, that costs 7,800 doubloons, which I say is only worth if you're wanting to get the ship faster. The docker will be removed at the release of patch 15.5, so you have roughly 2 months to get this ship. Moving on from how to get the ship, let's talk about how the ship plays. The ship plays in a very similar manner to the playstyle of the Tier 10 Dutch destroyer, the Trump, where you focus on using the airstrikes and torpedoes only, but on the ZH-1, you use your guns, torpedoes, and airstrikes to dominate the battlefield. The ZH-1 comes with a lot of utility tools that allows this. It comes with a short burst smoke that allows it to engage in setting fires on targets or to disengage when it's threatened, and it comes with an 8% engine boost that helps it navigate the battlefield. And finally, it comes with a 5-kilometer hydro that helps it to push enemy smokes, as well as spotting torpedoes for your teammates. In short, if you like the Trump playstyle with its airstrikes, torpedoes, and a little bit more gun focus, then you'll definitely enjoy the ZH-1. Let's talk about some of this ship's strengths and weaknesses. For survivability, it has 18,650 HP, which is average for the tier, so you definitely need to be more careful on how much you open water. Definitely use those short burst smokes to your advantage to be able to engage enemies and not just be out in the open taking a lot of unnecessary damage. For the main guns, you get 4 120mm guns with good damage on the AP, but the HE with 30 mils of pen, which sounds good, but comes at a cost, with its DPM being worse than the Jaegers, with a reload of 5.2 seconds. So you'll just have to try getting fires with the guns and AP the sides of cruisers and battleships. The guns are more of a deterrent against other destroyers, and you'll definitely have to use your smoke to cover yourself while having hydro active to push them out as you farm them for more damage. With a gun range of 11.9 kilometers and a good shell velocity, it's actually pretty easy to set fires with these guns on cruisers or battleships with an 8% fire chance, which ties into the other 2 armaments. So for the ZH-1, you really shouldn't be going out of your way to hunt other destroyers. If you do happen to fight a destroyer, you can use your smoke to disengage and pop that hydro to help detect the torpedoes if they are coming, or if they try to keep pushing you. Because with that really bad HE DPM, you're really not going to be trying to fight other destroyers all the time. You can try to be around caps if you need to be able to try to cap them using your hydro to kind of push out enemies. But your main goal is to help control the flanks, perma-spot enemies for your allies to be able to help farm them down. Set perma-fires with the guns is really how you want to perform with those guns. For the torpedoes, you get 2 sets of 4 racks with 10-kilometer range, with an 80.8 second reload and 14,400 damage that goes 74 knots. These torpedoes work great when enemies are pushing you, but if they're kiting, well, you're not going to do so well. These torpedoes tie in really well with how the ship is played, with you trying to set perma-fires or perma-floods. If someone's within 10 kilometers, you'll definitely be able to get the torpedoes on them, as well as airstriking them. And if they damage control party, then you can hit them with the guns to start fires or launch another airstrike, which is our next topic, which is the airstrikes. The airstrikes get 10-kilometer range with a 68-second reload and have a 32mm of penetration. The airstrike's lead time is 14 seconds, but the box is big enough to help you still hit your targets. The airstrikes alone do okay, but they work really well when tied in with the torpedoes, guns to maximize having perma-floods and perma-fires. So what I'll normally do is that I'll launch the torpedoes where I think the enemy will be going to try to dodge the airstrikes. Then I'll use the airstrikes in a way to make them turn toward those torpedoes. And if they damage control party after they hit, then I'll have another airstrike ready, and then I can use that as well as using my smoke to smoke farm them for fires while it lasts. And this combines working really well and you being able to put pressure on a flank, as well as doing a lot of damage to your enemies. For the airstrikes themselves, if you want to compare the airstrikes to the Trumps, I would say that these do more raw damage than the Trumps does, but the Trump is able to build more into the airstrike since it does have the legendary commander. While this airstrike only has one set at a time, the Trump is able to have 2 or 3 at a time. So it does put it a little bit at disadvantage compared to the Trump, but this is also a tier 9, so I think it having 1 is a good balance. Moving on, let's talk about the depth charges. For the depth charges, you get 2,760 damage per depth charge, which isn't a lot, but you do get 16 depth charges per 40-second reload, which is pretty damn good because you do get a lot of depth charges. Now, this thing is going to be able to help or run down the tier 8 submarines, but the ones that are at tier 10, like the U-45, the Gato, the Archer Fish, the Surkov, you're just going to have a really hard time trying to run those submarines down. So if you're dealing with a tier 10 submarine, well, yeah, good luck. For the anti-air, it's non-existent. It's actually better to just have it off because for some reason with this ship, it having a 5.8 kilometer concealment for surface, it has an aerial concealment of 1.8 kilometers, which is god tier, and it makes it almost impossible for carriers to hit you if they're going towards you with the plane. So it's actually better to keep the anti-air off than have it on at all. For maneuverability, you go 39.4 knots with a tight turning radius of 580 meters and a rudder shift of 3.4 seconds. And the maneuverability is really good, but the top speed is not the best. So you'll have to have your engine boost active a lot of the time, and it's very important if you do, because if you don't, you're just really slow. And that's why I build into getting an extra one, which I'll show the build at the end of today's video. Overall, I'd say that this ship's strengths are tied into its ability to use each of the armaments to build a set of perma-fire and perma-flood, very similar to how the Trump is played. The guns on this thing, though, are definitely not the best. They're pretty bad, and the torpedoes are decent, with the airstrikes being really good. The concealment is definitely good. The consumables are what makes this thing like really strong as well. With that short burst smoke, hydro, and engine boost, really giving this thing an edge over other destroyers to be able to disengage. I'll definitely say that for 3,200 doubloons, this ship is definitely a good addition to your ports. If you want to spend a little bit extra to get the second starter bundle as well, then go for it to get the ship faster. But buying the ship overall just straight up, because you do have to pay 2,000 for each of the shipyard phases. So if you buy the 2 starter bundles, which is a total of 9 phases, right? And then you want to buy the other 11, that's 2,000 doubloons per phase. So that's for 11, that's 22,000. The starting is about like 10,000-ish. So it's like 30-something thousand for a tier 9 destroyer, which I definitely don't recommend spending that much. But if you plan on doing all of 18 of the combat missions to be able to get those free phases, I definitely say that it's worth getting the ship for the 3,200 doubloons 100%. It has a unique enough play style compared to the other German destroyers that I think it's definitely worth it in that regard. Its play style is very unique. It's not very similar to anything else. It's different enough to me from the Trump that it feels unique enough to be able to get. If it was too similar to the Trump, then I would say just get the Trump, because I think overall the Trump does a better job in what the Trump does is in just farming perma-fires and perma-floods from the torpedoes. But this, it specializes in more of being able to use all 3 of your armaments. And if you can do that, then this ship does really good. But if you can't, then you're going to be suffering. All right, so let's watch the rest of this replay together. So as you can see here, I'm aiming the bombs. I see that he's turning in, so I'm gonna aim the bombs down since he's gonna be turning into those bombs. So as I see him turning into the cap, I'm aiming those bombs preemptively, knowing he's gonna turn into them. So that's what I did there. Then I'm using my engine boost to be able to back out of the area. Because I see that one cruiser is moving in. I don't want to get popped into his hydro area, right? So I'm definitely being careful of that, as well as watching out for all the other Jaegers that were running around, because there were a lot of Jaegers in this match. If you guys saw, there was tons of them. So I had to be really careful for that. Now, I was thinking about trying to open up fire at this point once he DCP'd, but I was really hesitant on that because I saw the torpedoes. So I use my torpedoes here to kind of help lock them in. So I'm going to start launching them soon, as well as having my airstrike being prepared any moment now. One mistake here that I saw that I did, I aimed the bombs a little bit too forward, which made him reverse. What I should have done is I should have aimed the bombs behind him to get him to go forward instead of reversing, because he saw the bombs going toward his front, then he's going to naturally reverse, right? But if I aimed the bombs more toward his rear, he would have been more naturally to go forward into the torpedoes. So it's a little bit of a hindsight mistake that I made there, so hopefully you guys can learn from that mistake. Now, one thing you see here, we have the battleship pushing in. Now, I'm still waiting to be able to pop my smoke to be able to start farming. I want to be able to make sure that somebody is spotting that battleship before I do, and want to have all of my turrets turned as well, so I'm able to actually start shooting him as well with all of my guns. And once I have all my guns turned, I'll be able to start shooting them and start doing tons of damage. Now, this ship, again, does have that 30mm HE pin, so I'll be able to start pinning them on that superstructure and do a lot of damage. And again, this thing does have an 8% fire chance, which is really nice. Like, it does a lot of damage. Now, I launch torpedoes. I expect him to kind of either sit there, or if he jumps forward, that's fine too. He's not going to last too long. Now, he does start moving forward here to start trying to run away from the airstrikes that he sees, but that's okay too. He's going to be going down momentarily, so it's not going to be too long. You can also see that the special commander tracers also work for the airstrikes, so it looks pretty cool as they drop. Now, I see those torpedoes coming in, right? I pop a Hydra to help spot the torpedoes for my teammates, and I start trying to rush over to where the torpedoes were at, right? So I started heading in that general direction. And I have my team right there. Oh, also, I didn't expect to get that kill, so I was like, wait, what? I was a little bit stunned to get that torpedo kill, so I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. So we see that he's dead, but I know those torpedoes came from the Jaeger and not from the other destroyer. So I'm going over to try to hunt the Jaeger now. I did a few shots at the battleship there to make sure I got a fire on him. So got a nice little fire on there and got a little assist as well, which is nice. Now, I know the Jaeger is out here, and he's one of the last enemies that are out here to deal with. I see him, but I'm not going to open up fire because I don't want to get potentially spotted, because there still is a cruiser right there I have to deal with. Now, I was going to airstrike him there, but I got to make sure which way he's going. So I do that to be able to tell which way he's going. As you see, the white line is he kind of stopped there. So I did an airstrike there to either force him to go forward, which then I could start using my AP on that broadside that I was talking about earlier. Because AP on the cruiser broadsides do a lot of damage. Now, you're not going to be able to citadel them. You're going to be able to do a lot of AP damage, though. So I see he's starting to pop out. So I start preparing my AP, as well as... I don't remember if I pop my smoke here. I don't think I do, because I have full health. So I'm not really worried about it. So yeah, first shot, a little bit low. So I am a little bit higher. And as you can tell, I do a lot of damage with that AP on that side. So I just keep peppering him, hitting with a torpedo, and then he goes down. Now, I'm not going to show the rest of this match, because the rest of the match, the Jaeger is just running away. So let's just go to the victory screen, because, of course, we won this match. I'm God tier, so. All right, so let's take a look at these scores real quick. All right, so for the scores, I did pretty good. A lot of damage, good destroyed. I was top of the team, of course, you know, God tier, of course, 2200. Not the best base XP, but looking at the detailed screen, you can really tell how spread out the damage is on the main guns, the torpedoes, the airstrikes, and look at that fires and floods, which do really well. So overall, this ship, you're definitely using a little bit of all of your armament on this ship, and I think this just really shows that in this case, because as you can see from the armaments, each of those damages are about equal, which really just shows how you're supposed to use each of those armaments to do damage, to be able to set fires, and for setting floods to get those permas. So moving on from that, let's go on and let's showcase the build for this ship. All right, so this is a ZH-1 in port. As you can see, it's a pretty good looking ship. I like it. It looks pretty good. All right, so let's look at the build that I used for this ship. Now, in the first slot, it's going to be main armament to help get his guns and torpedoes not knocked out. Second is going to be engine boost. Get that engine boost to about 3 minutes. Third slot is going to be torpedoes to get the torpedo speed faster. Next slot is going to be airstrikes to get the airstrikes down to 68 seconds. Fifth slot is going to be concealment to get the concealment down to 5.8 kilometers. And the final slot is going to be reload for the torpedoes, which gets the reload of the torpedoes down to 80.8 seconds. For the commander build, I'm going to go over in particular order how to do the build. First, it's going to be the preventative maintenance to help you not get your guns and torpedoes and everything knocked out. Next is going to be last stand. A last stand is a must-have for any destroyer player. Next is going to be the survivability expert to get your HP up to 18,650. Next is going to be concealment. This is going to be your 10-point build. After that, you're going to do superintendent. This allows you to get an extra smoke, engine boost, and hydro. This is going to be your 13-point build. For your 16-point build, it's then going to be adrenaline rush. So this is when you take damage, you get extra DPM. After that, you're going to do the consumable enhancement. This lets your smoke, hydro, and your engine last 10% longer, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does in the long run. After that, it's then going to be you can either do, let's see, so for 18, this is your 18-point commander. If you want to do Swift Fish first, you can for your 20-point. I personally would do the consumable specialist first. It allows you to get your consumables back faster. So I would do this one and then do so for your 19 point, and then for your 21 point, it'd be Swift Fish. Now, you don't have to use Lucians on this ship. You can use any commander you want. I like using him so that when I spot 3 ships, I get 300 HP per second for a limited amount of time. So it helps you heal back any HP that I have lost. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the ZH-1. Overall, I think the ship is definitely worth the 3,200 doubloons. If you like the playstyle of the Trump, then you're going to like this playstyle. It feels like you use the guns a little bit more with this ship while you're in the smoke. And it allows you to be able to start fires more. Now, overall, the guns aren't the best, but they are good at fire starting. And that's pretty much what they're good at. While using the AP, you're able to use the AP on broadside, cruisers, and battleships. So that helps you out with doing extra damage as well. But yep, let me know what you guys think of today's video. And yeah, let me know, guys, if you guys think the ZH-1 is worth getting. And again, it's going to be available starting on the 15.3 patch, which is on April 7th for NA and April 8th for EU and Asia. So, see you guys in the next one.